So for graphing the equations from the blue paper, we have our first equation, which is for number 1, which is fancy versus plain. So we have x plus y equals 7. Okay, and then we're going to make a t-chart for that. And what plus what, so this is that first grade standard we were talking about, what plus what makes 7. So you're going to come up with several of them, because when you go to do the second equation, you have parameters. They have to, your x and y values have to add up to, the x and y have to add up to the 7. So we have to use what we're doing for this one. So I know I can do 0 and 7, and the opposite of that, 7 and 0. 1 and 6, 6 and 1, and so on. And we keep doing that, so 2 and 5, 5 and 2. So we keep doing that, and these are the numbers that we're going to start plugging into the other equation, which, if I can get this over, here we go. So the other equation is 28x plus 15y equals 131. So we have our t-chart, and you're going to get some decimals in here, and that's okay, because we can kind of estimate those, and then you're going to have a definite one that you're going to go through. And you know that you can't go past past 7 basically on the shirts, because she did not buy more than 7 shirts. So when I'm plugging this in, I'm going to use some of these that are over here. So if I start plugging in 1 for x, that means that 1 times 28 is 28. Okay, then I'm going to take my calculator, and I know that's 28, so I'm going to take the 131. That is the total here. I'm going to subtract out my 28, and I get 103. Then I'm going to divide it by the 15 to see what y would have to be in order to do that. Remember, I'm using these to graph, so it doesn't, you know, you're not going to buy like 4 in a piece of another shirt. So we're doing this basically to graph. So divide by 15, and it's about 6.87. Okay, so when I plug in 1, I get 6.87. What I'm going to do right now is I'm actually going to do my intercepts. That's when x is 0, my y-intercept x is 0. So if I make x 0, that means 28 times 0 is 0. So I'm just going to have 131 divide by 15 to get what it approximately would be. Now it's not going to be a whole number, because 131 is not fully divisible by 15. It is about 8.73. So round it up to 8.75, right? When you go to graph it, so about 8.73. And then on my x-axis, my intercept is going to be when my y is 0. So that means I'm going to do 15 times 0, which is 0. So I'm going to take the 131 and divide it by the 28. And I'm going to get an approximation. And again, I know I can't buy a piece of a shirt. 131 divided by 28. Okay, and I get about 4.7-ish, which we can round up to about 4.75 when we're looking to actually graph. Okay, now the other thing that I need to do is where they cross, it's going to be one of these points, and so I need to look and see which ones actually work. Okay, so if I do 1, I already know that if I do 1, because I did that, I'm going to get 6.87. So if I do, what if I try 2 as my x? So that makes 28 times 2, which for us is 56. Okay, so I'm going to write that down here. So if I make 56, and what would I have to add to 56 to get 131? So let's just make this negative, press plus, and then 131 on your calculator, and you get 75. So this 15 times x has to be 75. So let's divide 75 by 15 and see if it's a whole number. And it is. Yay! We just found the point that it crosses. Okay, so my y, so if my x here is 2, that makes 56, and my y would have to be 5 to make 75, and when you add these two numbers together, you get exactly 131. So this, because it's here as well, is where it's going to cross. So now you have to graph it. And so we are going to do our, so my for me, my x-axis was fancy, and my y-axis is plain shirts. So I'm going to just do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And remember, I can't go past 7 because she did not buy more than 7 shirts. Okay, and then same thing here. So this is 0 in the corner. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'm actually going to go to 8, actually to 9, because I have this coordinate here. That's my y-intercept. So I'm gonna actually graph my y and my x-intercepts. So my y-intercept, when I go to x, is 0. I go up the y-axis to about 8.75 is where I'm going to estimate it. So I have 0 as my x. I go up to about 8.75, which is about right here, 3/4 of the way up. Okay, my x-intercept was when y is 0. So that's about 4.7. So again, I'm going to do, so when x is about 4.7-ish, is approximately here, my x-axis. And we already know that we definitely have 2, 5. When x is 2, y is 5. And I'm going to take my straight edge, whatever straight edge you have, line up the dots. Definitely go through on this one, the graph paper square corner, and line it up with your x coordinate here. And this is the graph for 28x plus 15y equals 131. And then I need to graph this one, so I can graph any of these points. So I'm going to graph my x and y intercepts, and then we definitely know we go through 2, 5. Okay, so my y-intercept was when x is 0, y was 7, and the other one is 7, 0. So go over to 7 on your x-axis and up to y on 0, which is right here. And remember they share this one, so we are going to, when you line it up, you'll see it. We're going to go through, let's line them up, and line it up. So 3 dots actually makes it easier for you to graph more accurately. All right, and this is how we graph. This is actually question 1. So this is what you need to do to graph these. So what is the answer to the system, or the solution to the system? It's 2 when x is 2, y is 5. And what does that mean? That means she bought 2, remember my x was fancy. So 2 fancy shirts and 5 plain shirts. Okay, remember this is my x and y coordinates. Okay, so let's do another one. Let's do the next one. Let's see if I have enough room on my table here. All right, so my next one takes a little bit. I have more things on there. Oh, and I need a lot more here, so I will move this around because it won't zoom in right now. All right, so my first equation for number 2. So we have chickens and pigs, right? So we have x plus y equals the 13 farm animals that we have. So that means that when we do the other equation, we cannot have x and y values that do not add up to 13 to find out where they are crossing. So I know that I have 0 and 13, 13 and 0. This is my y-intercept and my x-intercept. Okay, and then we have things like 6 times 7, 7 times 6, and so on. Okay, and then we're going to do the next one for our t-chart, and this was 2 legs for chickens. My x was chickens, and my y is pigs. So 4y for pigs, and that equals 40. Okay, this one's a little bit easier than the other one because a lot more things are going to work with this one. So if I plug in, if I do my intercepts, if I plug in 0 for x, that makes this completely go away. 4 times 10 is 40. Okay, my x-intercept is going to be when my y is 0. So that means the 4y goes away. And what times 2 is 40? Well, that's a 20. Okay, so that is where I'm going to plot my dot on my y, or on my x-axis. Okay. All right, so then I also have these. These add up to 13. Okay, I also need to double check when I'm putting these in. So let me try if I put x as 6. So if I put x is 6, 2 times 6 is 12. Well, then you have to go, okay, what do we add to 12 to get 40? So that's when we're going to take the 40 and we're going to subtract the 12 out. And that means that this 4y has to equal 28. Well, I already have 4 times something, so 4 times what is 28? So divide by 4 and you discover that it's 7. So we actually just discovered where they cross. And we also just discovered that they're going to be, remember this is x and y. My x was chickens, so there's 6 chickens in the barn and 7 pigs in the barn, which is what this means. So this is where they are the same. So now I need to graph this because that's what we're doing today. So let's see if I can get this so you can see it. So we have, remember for me, my x was chickens and my y was pigs. If you had it the other way, then flip those around. Okay, so this is 0, 1, 2, 3, all the way. Remember, I cannot go past 13 because there were not more than 13 animals in the barn. 11, 12, 13. All right, and then let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Here's 13. Okay, so we're gonna have one that's up on 20, but we only need 2 points to graph. So I'm actually going to graph my 0 and my 10. So I'm gonna graph the 2x plus 4y equals 40. So when x is 0, y is 10, 12, 11, this should be 10. Okay, and then my other one, oh, actually I have to go over to 20 on this one. Ooh, that's a long way. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, here's 20. So here's, woo, that one right there. And then we also know that it crosses at when x is 6 and y is 7. So 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and so on. So when my x is 6, my y is 7. So I actually have 3 points. Remember, this guy's way over here. Ooh, we can get him on the screen. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to take my straight edge. I'm going to line up the dots, get the right or the correct angle here. And draw my line from dot to dot on my x and y axis. And remember that this is 2x plus 4y equals 40 equation. Okay, now I have the x plus y equals 13, and that I can use any dot I want to plot that. So remember that when x is 0, so this is my y-intercept, when x is 0, y is 13, so I have a dot way up here. And then on my x-axis, I go over to 13 and plot a dot at the 0, so on the x-axis, and remember that they go through this point here, 6, 7, because I also have that here. Okay, so I take my straight edge from the 13 to the 13. Where's the 13 up there? Let's see if I can get it all on the screen. There we go. All right, so I'm gonna angle it. Has to go through that one dot. And graph it. And this line right here is my x plus y equals 13 line. So they cross at 6, 7, and that means, because remember my x is chickens, so there are 6 chickens and 7 pigs in the barn to make the 40 legs. So see if you can work out other ones. Remember, do not work hours and hours. If after a half hour, 45 minutes, you only get a few done, that's fine. Just stop there. I do not want you working 4 hours or even an hour on your math. Half hour, 45 minutes, whatever you get done is what I will accept for full credit. If you have questions, just put a question onto Teams in the post, and as long as it's not 11 p.m., I should be answering you.